Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Stephen. Today I'm doing some more fantasy news. One of the reasons I'm not on camera today is I have a really bad cold and I'm still getting over it. So you won't be seeing my face. Joy. The other thing is, I'm going to warn you now, later on in some of the other stories I'm going to cover, I'm going to be swearing. So if you are watching this with children, maybe watch it a little bit later on. We'll start with some unpleasant news and then we'll get on to the good news at the end. If you dare to wade into the quagmire that is social media these days, you'll see there's a lot of online debate about authors and readers. Authors invading readers' space, if they should be on Goodreads, if they should read reviews. And quite frankly, Threads has become the weird Wild West for authors and readers posting ridiculous claims.
No! God, please, no! No!
Things that have no real basis in logic or experience, and sometimes they're just questions and people don't know the answers, and authors with experience are quick to point out the facts. So here's one that probably some people don't realise from watching my channel. I'm not a booktuber. I don't review books. This isn't a booktube channel. I guess the closest you could say is an authortube channel. I'm a traditionally published author with 9 years, 10 books, and 11 books on contract. So next year is my 10th anniversary in traditional publishing space, doing fantasy and historical fantasy. So yes, this is not a booktuber channel for those who are joining it for the first time. As I've said in other videos, and I did one on one of this, my 100 writing advice questions, which I'm still working through. One of them is, should authors read their reviews? And I quite firmly stand by my opinion that no, they should not. There are lots of reasons you should not do it. There's a 5-minute video which I'll link to here, and there's a much longer video where I talked about some of the reasons and potential benefits. But I'm firmly in the camp of no, you shouldn't be on Goodreads reading reviews of your books. It's just not a good idea. So unfortunately, that brings me on to a very unpleasant interaction that an author recently had with a fan on Twitter.
Brace yourselves, you might want to sit down.
Someone posted saying that they'd recently read this book and they quite enjoyed it. The reader then went on to tweet about the fact that they'd borrowed the book from the library and the author responded. Now, this author works for the New York Times, and his response, this is Rob Copeland, at Real Rob Copeland on Twitter, said, "It's even better when you buy, not borrow, your copy."
Why are you the way that you are?
So before I start swearing, let's get the basics out of the way. The library bought that copy of the book that someone has then borrowed and read. I grew up reading books from the library. I would take home the maximum that I could, whether it was 10 books every 2 weeks or whatever it is. It's quite a long time ago. I can't remember. But my love of reading began with the library. I read the entire children's section, then I moved on to myths and legends, then I started reading adult fantasy, and this is what made me a reader and then a lover of prose, and then eventually become a writer and seek to do it myself, and I eventually became traditionally published. Now obviously not everyone's going to go on to be a writer, but libraries are essential. They're so important for communities. They're so important for people on different kinds of income, those who can't afford to buy books. I am very privileged now at the fact that if I really want a book, I can go out and buy it. But there is still a local library. And what people won't probably know outside the US is that in some countries, including the UK and Ireland, if you borrow a book from the library, then the author receives a very small fee. You know, it's only a couple of pence, a couple of cents. But every time someone borrows one of your books, you essentially get paid for it. And there's obviously a maximum cap, so you can't go over like a certain amount per annum. But you know, that's showing love. It's showing people that they're enjoying a book and they're reading it. Then there's book clubs. Then there's all the people that, you know, are just starting out in reading, like I was when I was a child. The idea of now somebody going to my local library, picking up one of my fantasy books, and that ignites their passion for reading, that ignites their passion for stories, that is absolutely priceless. that in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, someone could turn around and say, oh, well, I read this fantasy book when I was a kid and it really fired my imagination and it made me love story, and now I work in journalism, or now I work in film or TV, and that was my book? You can't put a price on something like that. This author's attitude just shows how remote and distant he is from reality. It was a casual comment, and maybe, if I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, he didn't mean to come across as a complete arsehole. But the fact of the matter is, that tweet has now been seen by 6 million people on Twitter. Now, getting any kind of traction on Twitter these days is pretty much impossible because it is a landmine-filled territory that's a wasteland. The number of people working there is far less than it used to be before the new owner. It is an absolute toilet of social media. I hang on to it because I talk to my friends on there, but trying to get anything moving and spread the word on there is incredibly difficult. But now this tweet has been seen by 6 million people, and they know exactly what kind of a person this guy is. He's bought PR probably at some point in his life, and this is the wrong kind of PR. Maybe he doesn't care, but a lot of people will now know exactly what kind of a person he is, and he's someone to avoid. Word of mouth counts for a lot as an author at any level. People talk, readers talk, and that's what you want. You don't want them talking about you for the wrong reasons, like this complete dickhead. Now on to some quite sad news, unfortunately. Lee Durfee, he of the greatest television show on the history of the internet, fantasy author and all-round good egg, is unfortunately in hospital. A few days ago, he called 911 in extreme pain and was taken into hospital. Since then, he's had several operations, he's been intubated, and it looked as if he basically had a very short time to live. The good news is he is starting to make a recovery. The operations have gone well, he's breathing on his own, but of course, because he lives in the United States, the cost of healthcare is phenomenal. He has since posted a video from his hospital bed, in fact, because now he can breathe on his own and is able to talk. So there is a 5-minute video of him giving a basic update on his health and what has happened. So his sister has started a GoFundMe page to try and cover some of the costs of his healthcare because he's going to need months and months of recovery time. Obviously, as I've already pointed out in this first thing, not everybody can afford to contribute to something like this, despite the fact that it is such a worthwhile cause. But what you can do is go onto his YouTube page and watch his videos, because he will get ad revenue. So if you've never watched any of his videos, put them on. He's a funny guy. He's very down to earth. And if you like the sound of him, check out some of his novels, which are the 5 Warrior Angel books. It's a trilogy. The first one is The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown. Borrow them from your library, tell your friends about them, subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch some of his videos, and every little will help go towards the cost of paying for his healthcare. I'm hoping he has a speedy recovery, so thank you for whatever you can do to help him. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure he will too. There are links down below to his YouTube channel and the GoFundMe page if you can help. For the last news story, I wanted to do some good news, and so I wanted to talk about some of the special editions that are coming out from The Broken Binding. These are not subscription books, so for those of you who don't know, The Broken Binding has a monthly subscription service, 1 book a month, and there is a waiting list, so if you want to get onto it, you can sign up for Tier 2. There's a form on their website, and then eventually, if someone leaves, you can go up to Tier 1. Tier 2 is larger because it's not numbered. Tier 1 is signed and numbered books. In addition, they have a brand new sci-fi subscription, which is starting soon, but that is every other month. They've announced the books that are coming out for that already. The first 3 books are from Andy Weir. However, there are some brand new special editions that have been announced. First of all, they are doing Malazan by Stephen Erickson. This is the full 10 books. They're releasing the first 3 together. You do not need to be an existing subscriber in order to access this. What you can do is go onto their website, express an interest, and sign up to be made aware of it and where and when you can purchase it. They'll release the first 3 books in one go. And recently they've released some artwork, which is absolutely incredible, that I'm showing here. This is by Felix Ortiz. And this is absolutely fantastic. It's just amazing stuff. The artwork is beautiful. I can't really say anything more about it. You can see the images. They're just astonishing. More details will be released soon about when it is coming out, but it will be summer this year. But you can sign up now and express an interest in getting the series. The first ever special editions produced by The Broken Binding in the very early days of the company were The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. Now they've announced they're doing the follow-on trilogy from that first series of Blood and Bone, and they've revealed some artwork again for this, and this is just beautiful stuff again. This is artwork by Rene Ogner. It is not a subscription set, as I've said for the previous one, so you do not need to be an existing subscriber in order to get these books. The best way to stay up to date and receive all information is 1, to follow them on Twitter and Instagram, but also sign up for their newsletter when you will get information there about what stuff is coming out on what month. I'll put links down below so you can sign up if you haven't already. As a science fiction and fantasy fan, I'm a huge fan of The Broken Binding because I love books as physical artifacts, and I love seeing books getting the love that I think they deserve. Some of the books they're producing and updating with special editions are older versions, some are modern fantasy, and they always seem to do a mix. And I really appreciate the care and attention that's gone into every book, and obviously the fans do too, because they've had great success over the last few years. Right, I need to go and rest my throat because it's quite sore. That's all I'm talking about for today. I'll be back very soon with more interviews and writing advice videos. And hey, if you want to check out my books, please borrow them from your local library. Goodbye now.